Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. At USA Global TV and Radio, we gladly provide world-class entertainment, news, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 137. I'm your host, DIANN Floyd BOEHM. Dr. Jacalyn is out on business, and Heather Grant is producing the show today. Our incredibly talented team member, HELENA CHARD, is out today as well, but we look forward to her return. But never fear, our Scottish team member, the fabulous chef, author, speaker, sailor, and so much more. He will be sharing with us the royal news of the United Kingdom, updates, and Scottish history. Please welcome Simon Macdonald.
Hello, it's Wednesday again. Here we are, another week older. Oh dear, but yeah, the sun is trying to shine here today, but it's a bit cold now. All the leaves are coming off the trees. It's autumn or fall, whichever part of the world you live in. But still, life's a breeze. So is the wind when it comes to that.
This is true. Now, I just love introducing you. You just wear so many hats. You're so amazing. But I understand you gave a big presentation and signed signatures the other night. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yes. It was the Scottish Women's Institute. So I was seriously outnumbered, and I gave a talk about Inverary's role in World War II, leading up to the Normandy landing. So there's a lot of local history there, and it was a fantastic audience that was there last night. They were so nice and very forgiving. I mean, I did have to start off by asking first, is there anybody in the house from Inverary? And there were a couple of hands went up, and I said, I could get into trouble here. And then I said, are there any Gaelic speakers here? And then there was another couple of hands went up, and I thought, yeah, I think I'm going to be in big trouble here, because the pronunciation of the Gaelic languages can be quite difficult at the best of times. So I had some real humdingers of words to get through. But anyway, the show went on. We did it. It was great fun. And, it was so nice meeting a lot of people who were familiar with the surroundings and knew where all the action was and so on. So it was great fun. It was tremendous fun. So there we are.
Good job. So many women. Boy, in the younger days, that would have been like my brother's dream.
Yeah, well, it was quite daunting, though, when suddenly you look out and look across this sea of faces, and I was the only guy there. And I thought, hey, yes, if this goes wrong, it's going to go seriously wrong. But it was just lovely. It was a lovely, lovely evening.
And I'm sure they learned so much. I'm looking forward to your book that you're working on, your historical fiction. I won't say much about it because that's your job. But here in Hollywood, we do so many movies about World War II, and it's all from the American perspective. But I really, really want to see one from the Scottish perspective and the Scottish heroes. So I'm just so excited about everything you're teaching us.
Thank you. Well, the book that's a work in progress just now is actually the wartime diary from my father around the Battle of Cassino, which was an absolutely horrific battle. It was the biggest loss of life of any of the battles of World War II. In fact, it was even bigger than many of the First World War battles as well. So it was, it was quite a nasty time. And I remember serializing it over 4 weeks here on the show, and it was actually quite difficult at times. I could feel myself, sort of choking up now and again, knowing it was my father and the situation he was in there as well. And and he had some serious moments when he was wondering whether he was going to come out of it alive or not. And he'd written a farewell letter to my mother, and and of course, if that letter had to be given to her, then I wouldn't be here. So fortunately, in advance, this is a story that ended well.
Yeah.
But he wrote his diary on just any scraps of paper he could find, basically, and wrote it on the battlefield. So it was, it was quite a diary. So I've inherited this diary, and I thought it's a story that really people should know what our forebears actually went through in that horrific time of World War II.
I agree so wholeheartedly. I can't wait. Sometimes I wonder about our younger generation, but we'll see. But those men and the women working behind the scenes are all just true heroes. But I can't wait to read more about your dad. But moving on, I think you have some more fun things to share with us. The royal news, maybe we could kick off with.
Yes, well, and the first piece isn't actually royalty, although people in Scotland would say it is a form of royalty. And that was our former First Minister, Alex Salmond. He died on Saturday there. Rather tragic, and very, very suddenly as well. He actually died while he was opening a bottle of ketchup, an eyewitness has claimed. Some of these, if you tried it, they can be quite difficult. But anyway, he had massive heart attack. He was at a conference in North Macedonia, and that was it. And he just went down like a sack of coal, and that was it. But Alex Salmond was quite a remarkable man, and he was passionate about his cause and trying to get Scottish independence. And he so nearly managed to do it. But he was leader of the Scottish Nationalist Party. He was quite a statesman in his own way, and he was just a very, very clever politician. And he turned politics around really in Scotland. So that's it. So Alex Salmond is no more. Big man, and but a big persona and a big man on the political scene. So there we go. That's Alec gone. So getting on to the royals, the other royals, our royals, the UK royals. We'll start on your side of the pond just now. Meghan Markle, of course, and her ex-bodyguard feels sorry for her as she struggled to cope from being a B-list celebrity to becoming the most famous woman in the world. Yeah, okay. Enough said. King Charles is set to temporarily pause his ongoing cancer treatment as he travels to Australia and Samoa later this week. And the king, he's 75 now, and he's been battling an undisclosed form of the disease since earlier this year, and is said to be bringing 2 doctors with him on the trip, just as a precautionary measure. So he's got incredible strength and stamina as King Charles. Amazing man. And next up again on the King Charles and Queen Camilla, they're facing rather an embarrassing snub by leading Australian politicians as the couple are preparing to start their tour of Australia. And every Australian state premier has sadly turned down the invitation to attend the royal reception in Canberra next Monday. So that is a bit of a snub. However, King Charles is set to be given a rare honour with the white sails of the Sydney Opera House lit up for 4 minutes with images from previous royal visits to mark the arrival of the King and Queen Camilla. Now, moving on again, this is again involves Charles. The Emir of Qatar is to pay a state visit to the UK, hosted by the King. Buckingham Palace has announced. King Charles and the Queen will welcome Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and the first of his 3 wives, Sheikha Jawar bint Hamad bin Suhaim and Tali. Please forgive my pronunciation. And they're coming to London on December the 3rd. So it's an advance notification there of a state visit. So they can expect to be sort of treated with a traditional ceremonial welcome on Horse Guards Parade and a grand state banquet at Buckingham Palace during their 2-day incoming state visit. Charles has visited Qatar 8 times as the Prince of Wales and met the Emir at COP28 summit in Dubai in December. And the Qatari leader and Sheikha Jawar also attended the King's coronation in Westminster Abbey and the late Queen's funeral. So a lot of strong connections and friendships there. Prince William, moving on, has revealed how the late Princess Diana inspired his new ITV documentary about homelessness. And explaining his motivations for making the show, which follows the launch and first year of his Homewards project, he said, "I've taken some inspiration and guidance from what my mother did, particularly with homelessness." The documentary, it's set to explain how homelessness can potentially be ended in modern Britain. With the release date of the documentary, The Prince William, We Can End Homelessness, is yet to be announced. Then we move on. Fergie, the Duchess of York. She is quite a flamboyant character, is our Fergie, and she's celebrating her 65th birthday today. Sarah Ferguson joined the royal family when she married Prince Andrew in 1986. While the pair later divorced, she still actually lives with her ex-husband at the Royal Lodge for now. Of course, the King is trying to have them evicted from Royal Lodge, he wants them to move somewhere else in the grounds because Royal Lodge is really crumbling down. It's needing a lot of money spending on it to renovate it and restore it, basically. So she's been, of course, recently recovering from breast and skin cancer, and she's been using her platform to raise the awareness of the disease. Then one of the late Queen Elizabeth's most trusted aides has revealed that the late monarch was a gutsy driver who loved speed behind the wheel. In her first interview for about 18 years as one of the royal's most trusted confidants, the former Communications Secretary Samantha Cohen recalled spending summers with the Queen at her Scottish estate at Balmoral, and reveals that the monarch had a taste for speed behind the wheel as she drove around the room of the Scottish estate. I can just imagine her there, with the head down, her headscarf on. She always seemed to wear a headscarf when she was doing anything dangerous, like riding a horse or driving a car. So she'd be giving it good fits. Now, to defy anybody to turn around and say, "Would you mind slowing down? You're going too fast." Finally, I love this one. Prince George, young Prince George, and he's only, 10 years old now. And he has declared that he would like to run a pizza parlor before becoming king. The young royal, who is third in line to the throne, shared his culinary ambitions whilst on a trip to a cafe in Norfolk, that's near Sandringham, where Sandringham is in Norfolk. The owner of Wiverton Hall, the 17th century Jacobean mansion, said that the prince expressed his enthusiasm when he was shown the wood-fired pizza oven on the estate. He apparently said, "That's what I want to do when I grow up." Well, back goes the monarchy. So there's our royal roundup for today. I mean, I just love that one from Prince George there. I mean, it's just, it's so typical. Look, 10-year-old boy sees pizza oven for the first time. That's what I want to do.
That cheese will do it, right?
That's it. Yes. Yeah. Yes. The question is, will he be putting pineapple on his pizzas or not? This is the great controversial thing. Should pineapple go on pizzas? It's a bit of a Marmite question, that one. Some people say yes, other people say, "Oh, no, pineapple should be nowhere near a pizza."
Where do you fall on that?
I think I'd probably fall on my sword if I made any comment.
Well, for me, when I first saw it, I was like, yeah. And then I tasted it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so yummy. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yes.
good luck to Prince Charles making that dream come true.
Well, yeah.
You had so much fabulous information. I don't even know where to begin, but I do want to say, if Australia shows highlights of previous times that Prince Charles has visited Australia, he was there with Princess Diana. Are they just going to cut her out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Australia has been sort of teetering on, should it be part of the Commonwealth or should it just go it alone for quite some time. And they've had a referendum about it, but they're wanting another one. And there's the last time, the public vote said, no, we do want to be part of the Commonwealth, so that's great. But, some people in the political sphere have other ideas. And I think it's awful that every single premier of all the the states in Australia have turned their back on it, and they've made all sorts of excuses. Oh, we've got another appointment. We've got this meeting we must be at. Any excuse and so on not to be there. I think it's rather insulting, really.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. It's tough because it could just be a handful of people that can control in any country, really, on which way the country ends up heading. And also, sorry for the loss of this great statesman, Alexander, if I can call him a statesman.
Yes, Alex Salmond. Yes, we were actually we had Alex Salmond, and we were followed on then by Nicola Sturgeon. So I mean, a right fishy lot. You got Salmond one day, you got Sturgeon the next. What's going to who's going to be next? But we've had there's something about the First Ministers of Scotland. There's been an awful lot of tragic endings. A lot of them just haven't survived. It's a bit of a poison chalice of a job somehow, but we've had Henry McLeish, and he died, and there's Donald Dewar as well, who was the first minister of Scotland, and he died. And here goes Alex Salmond. Nicola Sturgeon's been ousted through a lot of controversy, and that's still going on yet as well. I don't know how the ending of it is, but she's certainly, keeping her profile down. Nicola Sturgeon, whether you agree with the politics of her or not, she was actually a very, very clever politician and a very clever statesperson as well. So that's it's just a matter of opinion whether you agree of the principles of the Scottish Nationalist Party or not. And I'm not going to follow any comments any further there.
Understand completely. That's kind of how I take it on this side of the pond with our politics, if you want to survive in our world. But this is fabulous information. I really appreciate the Royal Roundup. That was just incredible. And I know you have another. By the way, everyone listening, again, Helena CHARD, we miss you, Dr. Jacalyn. But today is really Simon's show. He's going to be sharing all kinds of fun things with us. So let's go on to the next big.
Yes, indeed. Oh, the show goes on. Well, let's have a few of the strange but true factoids. Is becoming rather a popular feature now. So here we go. The most popular item at Walmart is bananas. They sell more bananas than any other single item they have in stock. Would you believe it? Moving on, there we have the University of Minnesota is actually older than Minnesota, the state itself. It's a bit like the chicken and the egg, isn't it? And here's one that rather amused me. An ancient Egyptian mummy has a modern day passport. They're flying her into the country. Yeah, would you mind propping this one up here? We check her face matches the passport. I thought, yeah, right. Okay. And finally, the Walt Disney Company is the world's second largest purchaser of explosives behind the US States Army.
Wow.
Well, would you believe that one?
Wow.
I can't think what they need all the explosives for. That'd be a bit worrying. But there we have it. So yes,
Wow.
that's today's strange but very strange but true factoids. Walt Disney being the second largest purchaser of explosives in the world.
Mind-boggling. Totally mind-boggling. Every week you just come up with things that are like, what? And you can't hear me, but you'd be chuckling because I'm going, what?
Well, I mean, the next time you go to Egypt and you walk past the pyramids, you say, passport, please.
Passport. Oh, that mummy was hysterical. And then
Oh,
she was thinking, my brain was thinking, well, maybe that makes sense. When they send the artwork over, they have to take a picture of all of it. So I guess the mummy's like, oh no.
That one really beat me when I got that.
Correct. Yeah.
So anyway, well, let's move on to the main event. Today, I'm talking about an amazing person who was a real go-getter. Came from very humble beginnings, and he was quite an eccentric character as well. Made a lot of friends in very high places, and he actually sort of changed our drinking habits. Now, I'm not talking alcohol here, but he made tea affordable to everybody and is very much involved in the Ceylon tea industry. And I gave just a slight glimpse at his life last week in the piece which we did on Ceylon tea. And this person is Thomas Lipton, or Sir Thomas Lipton, as he finished down. Now, Thomas Lipton, he was born on May the 10th in 1850. He was the youngest of 5 children. His parents, Thomas Sr. and Francis, had emigrated in the 1840s to Scotland from Shannock Mills near Clones in Northern Ireland. And the family, they lived in a four-room tenement. Now, a tenement in Scotland is an apartment, basically. And that was at 10 Crown Street in Hutchison Town, and it's a typical respectable working class home. So I should add just now, with Thomas Lipton, the more I researched into his life, the more I found. And so this is actually, I'm going to serialize this. I'm going to do half today and half next week as well, because it's a fascinating story. Anyway, he attended St Andrew's Parish School, where primary education cost 3p a week. Now, this is 3 old pence, which is the equivalent of about 4.5 cents US for a week. So, although not academically inclined, he mastered the 3 R's. And he and his friends formed a club which raced toy yachts on pools near Highfields, near Crown Street itself. And around this time, he'd actually carved and rigged Shamrock, his first model boat, and boats called Shamrock became quite an important part of his life. He left school in November 1860 and soon began his first job at A.W. Kennedy Stationers in Glassford Street, receiving a wage of ½ a crown, which was about 16 cents US. And however, looking to move up in the business world, he perceived this to be a dead-end job. So his next job was with Messrs. Tilley and Henderson in Miller Street. And the job of cutting out shirt patterns was extremely dull, but he had doubled his wage to 4 shillings a week. His early working life wasn't without incident, of course. And after fighting with another boy in the pattern department, when asked to explain himself to his boss, he'd answered, "I hit him, sir, because he cut the toorie off my bonnet." Well, that translated means he cut the bauble off his hat. So they got into a fight. So he was soon showing his confidence by asking then for a 25% increase in his wage, which he was refused with the answer, you're getting as much as you're worth, and you're in a devil of a hurry to be asking for any more in a rise. After the terse refusal, he lost little interest he had in the job, and soon found another, working as a cabin boy on the Burns line between Glasgow and Belfast, which earned him a wage of 8 shillings a week, which is about 60 cents US. He was enthralled with the job. It was good to be alive, and better still to be a cabin boy on a gallant Clyde-built steamship. He claimed he was never happier than when the atmosphere of ships and sailors and boats, and the waterside generally. While his love of water and boats continued throughout his life, his jobs at the Burns line didn't last very long either, and he was given a week's notice for allowing a cabin lamp to smoke and discolour the white enamel of the ceiling. He wasted no time in vain regrets, and after being dismissed from the Burns line, he managed to save some of his wages and tips, and he made inquiries about the cost of a steerage passage to New York. And after a long discussion with his parents, he was soon on his way. He was not yet 15.
Wow.
Arriving in New York, he couldn't find work and accepted a job in the tobacco fields of Virginia, where you are. And he grew close to his employer, plantation owner Sam Clay, who looked after him after a serious foot injury. After a trip back to New York, Lipton's next job was on a rice plantation at Cusco Island in South Carolina, where the responsibility for finances and bookkeeping gave him a good grounding for running an enterprise. And soon he got that restless feeling and took the sudden decision to board a schooner bound for Charleston. The next 2 years are vague in detail, but we do know that he returned to New York for a third time. Now, this time he was lucky and got a job as an assistant in a prosperous New York grocery store. He liked it from the very start, and he quickly learned the grocery trade and the secrets of his future success, picking up the American techniques of salesmanship and advertising, which were to become his trademark. So in the spring of 1869, he made the surprising decision to return to Scotland. This was at a time, actually, when most ships crossing the Atlantic carried immigrants to America. But Lipton was not for that. So arriving back in Glasgow, he hired a cab, and on top of it, he placed a rocking chair and a barrel of flour for his mother. And Lipton had the driver proceed slowly along Crown Street while he waved and shouted greetings to his old friends and neighbours, which is a spectacle long remembered in the area. Soon after his return, he took over his parents' shop and quickly turned his fortunes around. Now, this wasn't without some resistance from his father, who had faced with Thomas's grand plans, commented, "Ah, no, Tom, we'd be getting above ourselves now." So after 2 years working in his parents' shop, on his 21st birthday, Lipton opened his first shop at 101 Stobcross Street in Glasgow. In the heart of industrial Glasgow, full of smoke and fog, the shop was said to be so brightly lit that at night it became a beacon in the street. Goods were stacked in the American fashion, not for the convenience of the proprietors, but for the purpose of catching the customer's attention. Lipton was used to another selling technique learned from his mother, that when his parents had opened their small shop, Mrs. Lipton, rather than deal with middlemen in the markets, dealt directly with the farmers of her homeland. Lipton followed this example, and he bought his bacon, eggs, and butter and other produce direct from Irish farmers. He lived, worked, and breathed his shop. His days were 18 hours long, and he would often sleep on a makeshift bed under the counter. So his shop in Stobcross was doing so well that in 1876 he moved to larger premises at 21 to 27 High Street. He later added shops in Paisley Road, Anderston, and Robertson Lane. And then by 1882, he had shops in Dundee, in Paisley, Edinburgh, and down in England in Leeds as well. It was with stunts and advertising that Lipton was to make his mark. He employed the talents of Willie Lockhart, a leading cartoonist of the day, to produce weekly posters for him. One of the most famous shows a typical Irishman with knee breeches, cutaway coat, a billycock hat, shillelagh, and all, and with a pig, its eyes full of tears, slung in a sack over his shoulder. The caption reads, "What's the matter with the pig, Pat?" And the Irishman replies, "Ah, sure, sir, he's an orphan, so out of pity, I'm taking him to Lipton's." Strange ways. Now, Lipton subsequently took to buying pigs in the market and tying ribbons to their tails and having them driven through the streets under a banner which declared them to be Lipton's orphans. Each day, the pigs were driven to a shop by a different route, bringing in new customers all the time. The opening for each new Lipton shop was cause for newspaper adverts, posters, and parades, and Tommy Lipton himself would be at each opening to offer prizes to the first customers. In 1881, Lipton announced that he was to import the world's largest cheese from New York. And apparently, 800 cows were milked for 6 days, and the labor of 200 dairymaids was necessary to make this enormous cheese. This is where the expression actually comes from, he's a big cheese, he's a big man. So the streets were lined with spectators cheering at the giant cheese on its way to Lipton's new store in the high street. As an added touch, Lipton announced that since it was Christmas, his cheese, like clouty dumplings or Christmas puddings, would contain sovereigns and half sovereigns, which was sort of the £1 and 50p coins of their day. So when the cheese went on sale, the last piece was sold within 2 hours of the store opening, such as people's wanting to get hold of another few pounds. Well, these giant cheeses became part of Lipton's Christmas displays, and one was so large that the manager of Lipton's shop in Nottingham hired an elephant from the local circus to transport the cheese through the town. So by 1890, Lipton was a very rich and successful man, and he'd remarked later in life that the only politics he had were to open a new shop every week. After achieving what he had originally set out to do in the general trade provision, he turned his attention to tea. Drinking tea had become much more popular in the late 1880s, but still was prohibitively expensive for the average working class family. So after investigating the trade further with tea brokers in London, he took the decision to do what he had done with ham and butter and eggs, and that's to cut out the middleman with a profit to himself and his customers. So within a year, he was selling huge amounts of tea in £1, £1/2, and £1/4 packets. And the blends were made especially for the area around the shops so that Lipton could advertise the perfect tea to suit the water of your town. While he made substantial profits, his rule was to abolish, wherever possible, the middleman. And the only way he could do this was to control the whole production process. So he secretly booked a passage to Australia, but disembarked at Colombo and Ceylon to visit the plantations for himself. In the summer of 1878, he bought a coffee shop failure in the island of Ceylon, which all but wiped out the commodity. As a result, tea production increased, and the purchase price of the plantations was only half of what Lipton had actually been willing to pay. So by using Ceylon to produce the tea, it had less distance to travel and was therefore cheaper. Traditionally, China had been known for producing tea. But within a short period of time, he owned 5 plantations. Now he controlled the whole manufacturing process as well. Many thought he would fail by not attracting blenders, but he proved them all wrong, and he offered the blenders double the current salary, and they soon started working for Lipton. The tea was fresher, and of course, he had the new slogan ready, direct from the tea garden to the teapot. So even his 300 shops could not begin to satisfy the demand for tea in packets at 1 shilling and 7p, which is about 8 cents per pound. So Lipton decided to sell it anywhere there was a demand for it, and creating that demand by advertising tea as he had in his ham and cheese 15 years earlier. In the process, Tommy Lipton became the trademark of a national commodity. And through tea, Lipton's became a household name. His shops had made him a millionaire, but tea made him a multi-millionaire. So there we'll stop for this week, and then we will continue the story next week, and it just gets better and better. Believe me, it's an amazing story. So there we go.
Wow, incredible. And I mean, what a journey. And then when you said he was like 15 when he went or returned from America.
15 when he returned from America. Yeah. So, I mean, he was not work shy, and he was adventurous, and he's just one of these people who's thought out the box. I was thinking in modern day terms, is a touch of the Richard Bransons about this guy, or did Richard Branson maybe get his ideas from Tommy Lipton? But giving my aging age away, I remember some of the Lipton shops, and some of them were actually were run by descendants of the Lipton family as well. There was a shop, I think it was in Gourock, and it was Lipton's, and it was a Tommy Lipton that ran that shop, and I think he was a great grandson or something of the family. But it was very much a family type business, and he knew how to look after his staff. He tended to pay a little bit over the odds, got the loyalty, and he gave them enthusiasm as well. The way he laid the shops out, bright lights and so on, unheard of in shops in the UK. They were usually very dark and quite dismal and quite foreboding places. But no, Tommy changed all that around and actually changed the face of retailing in the UK forevermore.
So interesting. But it also makes you wonder if he could beam back in today's world. He'd be so excited to see his name Lipton on all these tea and all the flavors of teas, right? But at the same time, he would say, okay, so what do 15-year-olds do? What? Their parents driving them to what?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, you look at 15-year-olds today, and they got their noses on the mobile phone. That's them. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why they call it a mobile phone, because they very rarely actually use it to make phone calls. So it's a little games console, I think, to most of them. They just get to there and on social media, and that's what 15-year-olds do today as well. Yeah. Oh, there we are. I'm speaking like an old man there.
No. I mean, I clearly remember telling my parents that, could you please, I mean, I was probably 14 or 15, and telling my parents, I think I'm not meant to be in Texas. I think I'm meant to be in Tennessee, because that seems to be where all the music that I like. So I need to be around with those people. And my mother's like, you're not going anywhere.
Yes, we all had parents like that.
It's a good thing, but
the thing is, we showed them respect. Then, oh, there I'm going on again.
Exactly. Well, I can't wait to hear what happens next. But I do know now you're going to talk about On This Day.
Yes, indeed. Goodness, it's it's the On This Day time. Right in. We'll start off here. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis begins as President John F. Kennedy is shown photos confirming the presence of Soviet missiles in Cuba. It goes on, yes. 1964, Harold Wilson's Labour Party wins the British elections. By coincidence, there we are in 2024. Keir Starmer's Labour Party wins the UK British elections as well. So, there's a lot of fours there. In 1984, goodness, this is all fours, isn't it? 1984, Desmond Tutu, South Africa's Anglican Archbishop, won his Nobel Peace Prize. What a character Desmond Tutu was. He was just one bundle of energy. I mean, he was like a human torpedo when you come into a room. He was quite an extraordinary man, always smiling and full of zest and full of life and so on. So he was a great character. Birthdays on this day, we've got 1854, Oscar Wilde, the Irish playwright and novelist. He was born in Dublin in Ireland. I think a lot of people thought he was from London, but no, he was an Irish guy. And he died in 1900. Then in 1922, Robert Urquhart was a Scottish actor from the film Dunkirk and the Bulldog Breed, was born in Ullapool in Scotland. I actually know his wife. Unfortunately, Robert died in 1995. His wife, Jean Urquhart, was actually a former girlfriend of my brother. Jean now lives up in Shetland. And if you're watching, Jean, Hi. So Robert was a great character, though, as well. I mean, I've seen him in quite a number of films, and he was very, very good. Ullapool, where they lived, absolutely beautiful little town on the west coast of Scotland. Lovely, lovely place, fishing port, and very busy in the summer with tourists, and a nice sailing centre as well. Now, moving on, we've got in 1925, we've got Angela Lansbury. She's an Irish-British-American, Golden Globe and multiple Tony Award winning stage and screen actress, and she was born in London. She died sadly in 2022. So Angela Lansbury, extraordinary actress, very, very good. Deaths on this day, 1793, Marie Antoinette was Queen of France, and she was beheaded, aged 37. Oh dear. At 1959, we've got George C. Marshall, American general and US Secretary of State, died at the age of 78. And then in 2007, Deborah Kerr, British actress from Here to Eternity and The King and I, and An Affair to Remember. She died from the effects of Parkinson's disease at age 86. Again, so sad. Some of these amazing names go. But that we have on this day on this week.
My goodness gracious. Again, clapping. Yay! So interesting. And so many incredible people that brought so much to this world for us to know.
Yes.
So it's so nice to remember. So, and to put a plug in for your brother's ex-girlfriend.
Yes. Well, there we are. But no, I mean, Jean Urquhart, she's a lovely person as well. Yeah. Actually, she was a very staunch Scottish Nationalist Party drum beater as well, and there's quite a lot of them out there. But Jean has been quite a party supporter for some time.
Well, yay! I was just having a little fun with you. Well, can you imagine? It is already time to say goodbye.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. It always flies by. But Simon, I can't thank you enough for everything you bring to the show. It's so amazing. And I know you put a lot of work into finding all this fabulous information, and we deeply appreciate it so much.
It's great fun. I'm going to leave with a parting thought for the week.
Oh, yes, please.
If at first you don't succeed, then perhaps skydiving's not for you.
That is a great parting thought. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, everybody listening today, thank you so much for joining us. Helena, we miss you. Hope you're doing well, and to your health for sure. And Dr. Jacalyn, enjoy all the work you're doing, and we miss you too. Heather, thank you for producing the show today. We deeply appreciate it. The podcast Master Launch is coming up, so be sure to tune in for our new shows, Next Level Coaching with Robert J. Moore, followed by Intentional Productivity Tips with Megan Sandwick. Wow, makes me hungry.
Got another Megan.
Another Megan.
Oh my goodness.
I'll take it. Also, we had the Royal Breaking News, which will be on later today, and the Scottish Connection with who else but our great Simon Macdonald. Well, wherever you are in the world, I hope your day is filled with peace and love. And Simon and I are saying bye for now, but we will always be grateful to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hello, I'm children's author DIANN FLOYD, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and Radio because I love positive messages. And who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.